If you haven't, then do it. Because there is a poll question for you which says, is technology today bringing people together, closer, or is it taking them apart? Is technology today, and it is in yes or no, it's a poll question. So you can download the app, and those of you who you need Wi-Fi access, please let me know. So is technology today bringing people closer, or is it taking them apart? Yeah.
Hello. Okay. 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 So good morning, everyone. Please. Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Juan Carlos Lozada. I'm the youngest member of parliament in Colombia, and I'm more than honored to be here as a moderator for this very interesting and audacious panel of human and digital, which I think is one of the most important themes in contemporary human relationships. I'm just going to introduce a little bit the discussion, and then I will give each of the panelists here 5 to 6 minutes of opening remarks, and then maybe open up some discussion with 1 or 2 questions, and then we will open questions for the public. You can download the app, so you can use the app for responding to the poll question. I think it's going to be very interesting. And then maybe if you want to reply what we're doing here on Twitter and Facebook, they're going to put the links there for you to participate also online. Okay, so somebody will take care of this Wi-Fi problem. Okay, okay. So, new technologies are reshaping the way we human beings interact in every sphere of our lives, not only in the personal exchanges, but also the way businesses are running today, the way marketplaces are running, the way we interact as groups of working people, the way we lead teams today everywhere in the world. And this is definitely one of the most demanding and maybe challenging things today in our human relationships. Because somehow these technologies, as much as they bring us closer together, they also make teams that don't see each other ever, that are working sometimes overseas. Customers and clients might not even know each other personally, but they interact always through these technologies. And how to keep the inspiration, how to keep this human contact in the world of the virtual, but at the same time, use the virtual world to enhance the human values, to to better the human experience of a world that it's becoming every day smaller. It's the topic of this panel, and for that I would like to start introducing our panelists. The first person I want to salute here, it's Mr. Anurag Batra, who is to my right. Please welcome him with a big hand. I'm gonna read the profiles because they're so interesting, I don't want to forget anything. Mr. Anurag Batra is the chairman and editor-in-chief of BW Business World. As a first-generation entrepreneur, he expanded the 35-year-old Business World brand into digital events and BW communities, and included newer entities like www.digitalmarket.asia, a leading website on digital marketing. Mr. Batra serves as the chairman and editor-in-chief of Exchange for Media Group, and was appointed by Government of India as the chairman of an industry committee formed to create a vocational training framework for the media, communication, and entertainment industry. To my left, I have one of the most interesting profiles I've researched in many years now. It's Dr. Max Smith. Please welcome him with a very big hand. Dr. Smith is the senior staff user experience researcher at Google X from the United States. Dr. Max Smith is a senior staff user experience and founding member of the X, formerly Google X user experience team. In his current role, Dr. Smith leads user experience work with the Rapid Evaluation team, which focuses on rapid technology, prototyping, and detailed analysis of the business potential of new projects. Dr. Smith completed his MA and PhD in human factor at George Mason University, and previously worked at Microsoft Game Studios and Motorola. And he also uses technology. He thinks about how to resolve very big difficulties in the social world through technology, and I think this is one of the most impressive things in his curriculum. Then we have Avinash Goyal, who is at the end of this panel. He does some beautiful work that I'm gonna present. Please give him a big hand. Mr. Avinash Goyal is the managing director and founder of Hallmark Care Homes, a multi-award-winning leading care provider in England and Wales. He is also the chair of Care England, the representative body for care homes in the UK. Mr. Goyal is the founding trustee of the Hemraj Goyal Foundation, I hope I said it correctly, a registered charity based in Essex, operating in the UK and worldwide, so he does a marvelous job for the elderly people, and I think that we should give him another big hand and welcoming. To me, the next panelist is like the rock star, because she has like an incredible curriculum and such wide experience for this panel. Please welcome Dr. Pari Aftab with a big hand. I'm sorry if I said rock star, but you also work for... Exactly, Britney Spears, MTV, so she's the rock star in this panel. Dr. Aftab is a leading expert in digital privacy, security law, and cybercrime. She founded the internet safety organization Wired Safety and the consulting firm Wired Trust. In 1999, UNESCO appointed her to lead its online child protection project for the United States. She was being on the advisor board of MTV's A Thin Line, Fair Play, Sesame Street Online, and the Ad Council. Previous clients of Dr. Aftab include Facebook, Disney, and Nickelodeon. Her latest program, Share You Care, designed by a Canadian 7-year-old to promote caring and kindness online, will be launched at the WCF through an app donated by AK Systems. So please welcome her again with a big hand. And last but not least, of course, please welcome Mr. Subhash Takar. He is the Deputy President of London Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Subhash Takar is the past chairman of the London Chamber of Commerce and the partner at City Accountant CBW Blackstone Franks. He is working on affordable housing projects in Africa countries under the PPP model and has led other missions of the London Chamber to East and West Africa and India. He has been a trustee and a board member of a number of non-profit organizations. The most notable of them are the Commonwealth Education Fund and Atlee Foundation, 3Rs Trust. Please welcome him with a big hand. So I'm just going to give the mic here to our first panelist. He has a very big experience in the media. The one with less hair. He says it's going to start. Mr. Batra, please, 5 minutes for opening remarks.
Thank you, Jon. It's my honor and privilege to be here at the WCF, and I congratulate Sri Ravi Shankar ji and his entire team of volunteers and my friend Dipin for getting me here. You know, when I was coming for this session and when Dipin invited me, I thought, you know, the universe was playing its hand because my book on spirituality and philosophy is out on 13th April, which is almost 1 month from now. So having been in the media business and using technology to get to audiences and now bringing out a book on spirituality and philosophy, I thought I could learn something from the panelists there, and that's why I showed up. But I'm very disappointed with you, Jon.
Why?
I'm very disappointed with you. You know, when they first told me that a minister from Colombia will come, I was expecting that we'd have a happy session. I'll just leave it to your imagination what it means, Colombia and happy. But, you know, I'm disappointed. It's not a happy session, but maybe next time. You know what Colombia is best known for, right?
It's a very happy
audience, right?
Everybody's smiling today.
And you know, when I start, there's Dr. Max Smith and Dr. Perry Aftab. You know, I'm starting with a handicap. I don't have a permanent head damage. I don't have a PhD. I'm not a doctor yet, but someday. Coming to our session of how technology is impacting our businesses, our lives, it's impacting how teams work. I just want to say that the old saying was, when a family, a family that prays together stays together. The new saying is, a family that's on WhatsApp together stays together. So, you know, the world has changed. And it's true. The gentleman sitting here was so violently raising his hand because the Wi-Fi was not working. I promise you, if you gave him Wi-Fi and didn't give him food, it'd be okay. You know, I have 2 young kids, and I can tell you that these days you don't have to scold kids. You just have to turn off their Wi-Fi. So, coming again back to the session, as I said, we live in an era where technology has permeated all our lives, and Google is among the first 100 words a child learns. It is among the first 100 words a child learns. And in some way, we all collaborate using technology. And when we talk of collaboration, which is the theme of our, how is the nature of workplaces changing? How is the nature of collaboration changing? And I'd like to bring, today all the volunteers from WCF and from the Art of Living are here because they're united by one thing, and that is the purpose of bringing the human race together. I think in the era of technology, what we need to bring more to the table is a purpose. And as you said in the introduction to the session, that in an era where we feel connected, we are more disconnected. And we believe, we live in a false world where we believe somehow being connected on the internet is as good as being in touch physically. It isn't. You can't feel the flow of a river by seeing it on the web. You can't smell a rose by seeing it on the web. I can't shake my hand with you on the web. I know we would reach the stage in technology where the surgeries are being done from New York, in Japan, using zero latency. I know so technology is enabling things, but the more we are using technology, the more important physical touch is, the more important face-to-face connection is. And I am not a teenager, but I'm a screenager. I do everything on a screen, right? I think the teenagers who are also screenagers are the ones that need to embrace physical contact. It's the same in today's world, in today's society. Having high integrity, being honest, being punctual are even more sought after than they were 20 years back. So the value of physical contact is only increasing. And the only way we'll be able to create a balance in using technology and having the advantage of being face to face, having a real connection, is in some way finding purpose. And if today's panel we can find purpose, we'll be out there. And I wanted to use a PowerPoint presentation today, but Juan told me that PowerPoint presentations are used by people who are neither powerful nor have a point of view. So I decided against that. And the reason I bring that, this is again technology. It is much better to have a conversation. The art of having conversation is the art of living. At the end of the day, no matter, otherwise we would be doing this session on satellite. It wouldn't be the same. And having a cup of tea with my friend Yuan. So I want to end by saying, and I want to give you two small stories. One, in May 2011, a friend of mine, lifestyle journalist, he's about 45, posted on Facebook, and he said, I want to commit suicide. It's a real story. And 65 of his friends said, we like this. It wasn't his wife, he's unmarried, right? That I could have understood. But the reason I share this story is technology is not real in some ways. It is real in a lot of ways, but it's unreal in a lot of ways. Because it's convenient to do a lot of things using technology, which you won't do in real life. Second, I was talking to the promoters of Jagran, Mr. Gupta is here, who runs a very big newspaper, the biggest newspaper in Hindi in India. And I want to talk to you about a guy called Dr. Eben Alexander. All this talk about technology, and technology is changing the way we are doing things. No question, I'm not going to even go into that. He is a professor at the Harvard Medical School. For 25 years, he did surgery. And he said, I am the God. There's no God. I am the God. I make you okay. Till he had an accident. And he was in an OT, and he almost died. And he came back. He had what we call a near-death experience. Not marriage, near-death experience. They're different. They're similar, but they're different. Right? And he had a near-death experience. And once he came back to life, he said that while there is science and there is technology, everything is God. Everything is belief. And what the physical touch is brings that belief. And he wrote a best-selling book called Proof of Heaven. The reason I share these two stories is that technology is here to change. And I want to end by saying that while we know that driverless cars are a reality, we know that MOOCs, internet-aided education is a reality. I think as a society, especially in India, I don't know about UK or the US as much as I know about India, is that we are not thinking, we're thinking in sessions like these, but we are not thinking of the impact of technology on our society. When the driverless cars come in 10 years, what happens to the drivers that Uber and Ola have created in the last 2 years? What happens to the teachers? What happened to educators? So I hope the next few panelists focus on how technology is impacting us. It is creating something I call sampati, which is what I call selfish wealth. We are here to create sampada. Art of living is creating sampada, which I call shared wealth. So through this shared wealth, we'll be able to find the balance between technology and physical touch. And I was in a mosque in an ancient part of the world, and as soon as you enter the mosque, there was a sign, switch off your mobile phone, be in touch with God. I hope to be in touch with God, you have to be in touch with human beings, and technology cannot do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for very deep and humorous also. You know, humor is one of the most connecting things that we can do, and you have done just that. So now we go to Dr. Smith. You have 6 minutes for your opening remarks in this matter.
I'll be fast. So, I'm Mac. I'm actually very excited about speaking here today, specifically with the theme of human and digital. I tend to work on the very early edges of technology, but I believe there's a number of themes in this conference that resonate highly with how we actually discover what we're going to do next. I'm not going to assume everyone knows exactly what organization I work for. So I work for X. We're formerly Google X, and it's described as a moonshot factory. And really all this means is that we're designing radically new technologies trying to improve the world in really meaningful ways for large numbers of people. So projects you may have heard about were the self-driving car and Google Glass. We had Project Loon, which was balloon-based internet technology. One of our latest was called Makani. It's an energy kite that generates energy from the wind. Now, all of these follow a fairly similar blueprint, which is we look for a really huge problem, we try to find a breakthrough solution, and then we look for a breakthrough technology that we can apply to it. And our strength really is in the technology portion, so we're looking for places where we can apply this. Now, my team within it is actually built of all types of designers, interaction, industrial, et cetera, researchers. And really, our job is to get close to the people that this technology is going to affect. So what we do is talk to experts. We talk to the actual eventual customers who are going to use this. And what we're trying to do is learn very quickly and actually define the relationship between people and the technology that we're going to create. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about in probably my next 4 minutes or so is when we're creating these customer experiences that are actually for the future. So it's things that haven't happened yet. What do we do? And I have a very simple thesis that I think really maps to some of the values of this conference. We look for 2 things. One is we try to anticipate how behavior is going to change in the future. Those are the things we can observe. You heard some examples of it today. The second is we look for very basic needs that are not going to change regardless of what that technology is. So if I create a new device, we'll talk about Project Loon for a second. It's going to allow high-speed internet to areas that do not have internet access. That opens up a wide amount of opportunities and changes people's behavior. What it doesn't do is change the underlying needs of people want that information anyways. People still have the need to be respected. They still have the need to be loved. They still have the need to feel they have enough autonomy in the information they need to realize their own lives and their own vision. And that's the important part of what my team actually does. Now, one other thing I wanted to kind of say about that is this comes down to a very core value of generating empathy. And part of what we do is we go out and talk to people one-on-one. We go and visit where they actually live. And as we're applying these future technologies, we're trying to understand from their perspective how this is deeply going to change, what this is really going to mean for that individual. And as we scale up to a larger population, what that's going to mean as a whole. And then when we come back, we actually change our solutions to address what we saw about people. And I'll give you a very simple example of this. This was a related team, not my team. But when we first introduced the self-driving car, there was a model that we were going to have the car drive itself, and then at various times in certain situations, people would need to take the wheel. Now, that sounds very good, it's very rational. But when you actually sit in cars with people, when you experience what they experience and what they want to do when the car drives itself, what you find out is that people don't actually want to take the wheel at all. They're not interested in that level of control or having to take over when there's an emergency. So when we started to understand what people actually need, we actually went back to the drawing board and created an entirely different experience that was about being a passenger, that was about giving you that freedom to do what you wanted to do as the car was driving. So that's a simple example of how looking at what humans did had us step back and actually kind of rethink the solution that we were going for. Now, one of the things to ask is when we can do all these really impressive future technologies, why the emphasis on empathy? And part of it is when you plan for a product, when you're planning for success, it never survives past your first customer. If you don't really understand how those people are going to respond, if you can't appreciate what they need, the technology is only designed to accomplish some goal. The person's goal is more important than the technology itself. And what we have to do is recognize that people are not always going to be rational. We make a number of decisions each day that are complex and sometimes contradictory. And what we need to do is actually appreciate what humans are actually bringing to the table and understand how those decisions are being made so that we can design that technology to best address what they need. So, that is my core point for today, is that as we're creating the future, we're doing two things. We're getting close to people to anticipate how their behavior is going to change, and we're deeply understanding them to make sure we address the core needs they have as humans, even as we start to change the world around them. Thank you.
I think maybe in the question and answer situation we're going to have after, I would like you to speak a little bit more about this word that you just used, empathy, just as you talked about purpose. I think these two things are kind of like at the center of this discussion. But for now, Mr. Goyal, please.
Thank you. Oh, dropped my cards again. Can I just get rid of this chair first of all? So I don't like seeing an empty chair on the stage, so I'll go and sit over there in a second. Thank you, everyone. I totally agree with Anurag and Dr. Mack in terms of what you've said. And so I want to add a different flavor to the conversation to make an impact and also to give you value. So I agree that in any business, in any organization, you need purpose. So you don't mind me standing up? Is that okay? You'll see why in a minute. You need purpose, you need a vision, and the values of a business, an organization. Same with families, etc. And as the head of that organization, one of the things that I've seen is that it's great having technology, it's great having podcasts and the internet and emails and all the things that we do. And I totally agree that you cannot still beat the human touch. Your teams, and we've got care homes dotted around England and Wales, and without that human touch, it doesn't matter how much technology you have. People, if they don't feel connected, they're still not necessarily going to be aligned with the company. Because I truly believe that people don't work for companies, they work for people. They work for managers, they work for leaders, they work for people they like. And one of the things that we try to do within our organization is to make sure people are like the people they work with. Not the same, but similar to. So that in terms of the common purpose and the common aims, we can all get there together. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to gather all my team from all the different locations around the country, and some people travel over 200 miles to be at our one-day events, and it's a room very similar to this. And what I like to do is get connected with them, because as the owner of the business, owner of Hallmark Care Homes, I need to make sure they know me and they understand me. Really, really important. So what I do is I get them to do some exercises. It's a 2-hour session I do with them. And so I want to share with you a couple of things that I do with them at the beginning. So because you've been sitting down for quite a long time, I'd just like you to stand up for a few seconds. So if you like to put all your books down and just stand up, A, it's good exercise, and it will make you feel awake. And what I want you to do is make sure that you don't hit anybody. Just wave your arms like this. Just get in some space, if that's okay. Yeah? Okay, so what I want you to do now is when I say, just watch me first of all, and I'll make it very clear. So hold your arm out like this in a second. I'll do it now, actually. And when I say, yeah, is I'm going to get you to swing your arm around as far as it will go. Don't do it yet. Don't do it yet. You high achievers, stop. Don't do it yet. And keep going around as far as you'll go until your arm starts to hurt. And if you do any more, it'll drop off. So in a second, and make sure when you've done it, you mark against the wall how far you've gone. Okay? So ready? When I say 1, 2, 3, swing your arm around as far as it'll go before it'll drop off. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, and bring your arm back. Now very quickly, I want you to close your eyes. Yeah, it's very safe. Put your arms down now. Close your eyes. And I want you to imagine now that you're doing this in your mind's eye. Just imagine that you are holding your hand out, and in your mind's eye, imagine that you're now swinging it around. But this time, set a goal in your mind's eye. Set a goal that you're going to swing this much further with ease, past the point that you went last time. Yeah? So in your mind's eye, go and do it right now in your mind. Swing it all the way around and just watch in your mind's eye how far you go with ease. Okay? Some of you are doing it for real. Don't worry. Okay, now open your eyes. And now what I want you to do is put your hand out and do this for real and watch what you just imagined happen. Right? So hold your arm out in the air again and then swing it around and watch how far you go this time. All right, grab a seat. So how many of you, thank you. Raise your hands. How many of you went much further? Okay, pretty much everyone. Okay, so these are the kind of things that I do with my teams because we've got 15 care homes around the country. It doesn't matter how much technology you put in, you've got to connect with people. People want to work with people they like. Yeah, so I do lots of different things. I share my story. I share how I came from India with nothing, with my family of 10, how we lived in a big house, a small house rather, with lots of people, and how it was difficult, how we struggled. Because that's how you connect with people. You connect with people by sharing your stories. You share yourself. And then all the technology that you have makes a huge difference. So finally, what I didn't hear a bell go, so I assume I've got a few more seconds. What happens then is that people want to do their best. Yeah, people come to me and say, through the session that you did, you taught me something. Yeah, and we have other speakers come and speak too. And they say, I improved my relationship. I lost weight. I changed my diet. I got courageous and I had a conversation that I've been dying to have with somebody that I was not complete with. I got that promotion. I went for it. So this creates the culture through some of the work that we do like this. So I just wanted to share with you some of the things that we do. I could keep going on, but I suspect I'm going to run out of time. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to the questions.
Thank you very much for this such an interactive presentation. Now we go to Dr. Aftab.
Well, I usually get up and move around, but somebody else did that already. And I usually try to get you to stand up and do something, but somebody did that already. And I'm usually funny, but there's no way I'm going after this guy. And I can sometimes be smart, but not next to Matt. So I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here today. There are two sides of me. I'm an internet privacy and security lawyer. I've been doing this since the beginning of time. I became a cyber lawyer by accident. 5 of us were online chatting about crazy things, having too many glasses of wine, and in the morning judges would cite to us in their decisions, and what we talked about at night was becoming law. That was 24 years ago. And then one day, someone sent me an email. It was a woman from Argentina, and she said to me, "Shut down this website and put these people in jail." So, of course, I clicked on the link, And it was to an internal page, and it just had the names of children, Hispanic names, Maria, Jorge, and numbers next to them. So little Maria was 3. I didn't know that at the time, and I clicked on a link and I saw a picture of a little girl being raped. She was about 3.5. I'm a mother. I cried and got sick to my stomach for hours. In the morning, I called my law partners and I said, you can have the firm. I'm leaving. I'm going to give a year of my time to find that little girl, and I can live for a year without earning money. I took my children out of expensive universities and had them get jobs and go into state universities, and I sold $1 million house. The people who used to watch my children, I didn't employ anymore, and my kids learned to watch themselves, and I learned to operate a washing machine. Everything was always the same color. I never learned to separate them, but that's another story. That year became 22 years. I said I'd try to find her. I never did. We found many others. And then Reader's Digest wrote about the work that I was doing with a number of volunteers who had heard about me. And we got 10,000 new volunteers from all over the world overnight. We were the cover story in 81 different countries around the world. I have volunteers in India, I have them in Pakistan, I have them in South Africa, I have them in Hong Kong, I have them all over the world, half the places I can't pronounce. And sometimes when we talk to each other, I need to talk to somebody who speaks Spanish, who talks to somebody who speaks Portuguese, who talks to somebody who speaks Arabic and Urdu, until eventually we are talking to each other. Out of the group here on the panel, I probably deal with the darkest and most horrible parts of the internet. We are experts on cyberbullying. We run Stop Cyberbullying. We are experts on crimes against children and crimes against women. We're experts on trolling and attacks and revenge porn and just about anything that can go wrong online. So to the extent there is a cyber police, Wired Safety has acted as that role. As the world grew up and law enforcement learned how to do a lot of the things we were doing for free, better than we were, we started training Interpol instead of having to do their job. And then, although it's not in my bio, I'll let you know that I'm one of 7 members of Facebook's Internet Safety Advisory Board. And it will probably make you in India happier to know that it's an unpaid position and I can do what I want. So as I come at this as an internet privacy and security lawyer that advises the industry and advises the United Nations and advises Interpol and looks at things to do better. But yet, in my heart, I'm with the kids. If I'm surrounded by all these famous people and presidents, look at this event. This is the most unbelievable event I've ever seen. I can't believe they let me in, much less speak. I'll work on it, okay? If there are children in the room, they're the first ones I talk to, because the internet, as horrible as it can be and as horribly as it can be used, is our future. It is the future of our children. They can't succeed in education or in life or careers. They can't forge the peace that we are not doing such a great job doing. I mean, all you have to do is watch Trump on television a little bit. And you wonder why I called him a mean girl cyberbully in the New York Times last week. So as we look at this, we need to recognize there's an incredible promise here. Empathy is a perfect theme as we take it across here. So everyone on the panel looks at empathy in a very different way. But we need to make sure that we look at balance so we have real life and online experiences. We also need to recognize that our children don't distinguish between the two. It's life. It's life. You can click, you can push, you can do whatever it is these new technologies are doing with gestures. To them, life is life, and there's no difference between what they do in their house or in their school are on the street and what they do in these devices that they carry around in their hands. And your children here who are too poor to eat properly or to sustain health have a hand-me-down smartphone that they can download all kinds of things very quickly. And when I spoke to experts yesterday, they told me one of the biggest problems you have here with children on the internet is porn. We haven't talked about porn in 20 years in the United States. So it's something we need to explore. They also told me that sexual attacks against women are now being recorded by the men who are doing them and sharing them on WhatsApp. 500 cases last year, the consultant for the United Nations told me. So, now that I've made you all feel terrible, I'm going to make you feel good. I'm new to Art of Living. I wasn't familiar with them until about 2 months ago when they heard about the work we were doing. So we have just signed an MOU with Art of Living to create cyber wellness, cyber safety, stop cyberbullying and stop cyber harassment programs with Art of Living that will be delivered for free in India and any place else through any of their foundations around the world. One of the ways we can do it for free is because I have extraordinary people who work for free and extraordinary people who not just work for free but donate things. So the man who's standing up with the camera right now is our Director of Technology and Innovation. We don't pay anybody anything. We give them very good titles. And Manoj designed an application that was supposed to go live yesterday, but I had some privacy law issues I had to fix. It's called Share You Care. So it's a new app. It'll be out soon. I'll let everyone know about it. And was designed by a 7-year-old from Canada. She sat there and she heard the parents of a young girl who had committed suicide after she was cyberbullied. And the parents said, words can kill. She's a very talented, brilliant, caring young woman. And she turned to her mom and she said, 7, she was about this big. And she said, if words can kill and words can hurt, can't they help, Mom? And her mother said, yes, I think they can. So she said, okay, I'm going to change the world one Post-it at a time. So she went to the Staples and she bought Post-it notes. And she and her 2nd grade class wrote kind things and mailed them all over the world. So we were going to call it Post-it Positive, but I heard from 3M 2 weeks ago, who makes Post-its, who thought maybe we should call it Share You Care instead. So they're now one of our sponsors. And so's Google, and you didn't even know that. You were our first sponsor. So we're going to be sharing kindness. I'm going to be building these programs in India because I can do in India what I can't do anyplace else in the world. I've got every religion, shape, color, size, and I have people who care about children, not just their children, all children, and I have some talented kids that would knock your socks off. And when you sit, and I hugged Sri last night, I thought I would break him. When you have someone like that who embodies everything that's good or should be good with the world, I can change the world right here. So as long as you give me enough dosa and find a sari large enough for me to wear, we will change this together. So any of you want to help, please let me know. We're all unpaid volunteers. I don't want to do this American style. I want this done Indian style. And when we do it in Sri Lanka, I want it Sri Lankan style. And when we do it any place else in the world, it will be your style. I know some things, you know other things. Together, we will create a world that's safer and better for our children, that keep them healthy and well. Sorry.
You know, Dr. Aftab just said when she handed over the mic, I'm sorry about the time, but there's no sorry, everybody. I think this, your exposition needed, we could stay here for such long time because this, what she's doing is so inspiring and amazing, and we all, the people who are part of Art of Living, we bless you in this project definitely. Now I'm just going to hand over the mic to Mr. Taka.
Thank you, Ann. Well, first of all, can I just say, haven't we got an amazing group of panelists on my left? And I really don't think I'm going to match them at all. Ladies and gentlemen, what I am about is business and commerce, London Chamber of Commerce and business ideas. So my talk is just going to be about what I think this digitization has had an impact on the business. But let me take you back some 40 years when I was a student in Vadodara. And at that time, if I wanted to make a phone call to a nearby city called Porbandar, it took me 3 kilometers of a ride on a rickshaw. Then I had to book a phone at an exchange. It would take me, they would give me 2 options. One, they would say, if you want a lightning call, it'll be connected in 3 to 4 hours' time. And if you otherwise have a normal phone call, then it'll be the next day. And 40 years down the road, today, I can do that call in seconds. Not only that, I can even see the individual on the other side. And if I don't want them to see me, I can turn on to the audio and avoid the video. They can't see the state I'm in. Isn't that amazing that things have moved on? Today, we talked about the driverless car. I'm a lazy driver. I'm much looking forward to that happening. I think that will happen very soon, within my lifetime, I'm sure. We used to go to a printer to get a document photocopied. And that was an instant copy, and that was an amazing thing at that time. Today, we can do the same with just Outlook and scanning and send the documents over. But not only that, but we can go to a 3D printer and where you can have an auto component or a figuring, art figuring, reprinted in a short time. Now, this is technology that is most welcome, and we must all embrace it. I think these are the times when it is great to have, because it improves productivity, efficiency, and certainly it does in the business world. In November, we did a study at the London Chamber called Capital Connect, which is mainly studying the businesses of London. And we discovered that nearly 25% of London's businesses are still not connected. Even now, you might regard London to be a modern city, well regarded, well ahead in the world, but yet we have 25% of businesses which are not connected. And you know, we also found out that if we did connect all the businesses, the economy will be boosted by 90 billion pounds. So that's the effect of digitization. That is to be welcome, that is to be had. Certainly we have attacks, we have risks, and I think we've heard some of these, and identity crisis, as well as you have fraud that's taking place using the internet and the digitization. But at the same time, if you look back, all that has changed is the instruments, but the risks and the problems and the issues have still remained human, and they are going to continue to remain human. It's the instruments that are changing, and that brings us the efficiency and productivity, which we must not forget. At the same time, we should address the human issues in the way that Dr. Aftab is dealing, and others, bringing in organizations like Art of Living. I think they will have more prominence in time to come, because people are going to realize. And you must have all seen that photograph of a family who goes out for a dinner, and every member of the family in the restaurant is looking at the screen, and nobody's talking to each other. So that's the loss of the human touch. And I think there will be a time when things will get to that sort of level, and then people will realize that we have to start thinking about the human touch. And I am very hopeful that that is definitely going to happen. To the extent that I think that we realize the impact of the information overload already. I think many of us have stopped reading everything that we get on the email or the WhatsApp or whatever, because we are getting tired of that kind of information overload. This is the biggest menace that is there, but human beings are beginning to recognize the adverse impact of some of this stuff and are going to get over that. And I think, as I say, the organizations like Art of Living are going to help. I think people are going to see the technology is not to be avoided, but the technology to be used in a smarter and proper way. And that is what will happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much to all our panelists for their introductory exposition. There's a question that came up to me while I was listening to all of you, because I think it's kind of like a union thread among all your expositions. And it has to do with something Dr. Afta said, and is that some of us here, almost all of us here, saw the birth of internet. So we knew what the world was before that, but there's a new generation of people who don't have these differences between, you know, virtual and non-virtual, because they were born after the birth of internet. So for them, life, it's in the real world and in the internet as well. And they don't have this kind of difference. And I was thinking, for that generation, what does some of the words you most exalted here means? Like purpose, like empathy, like vision, as Mr. Goyal says. What does connection mean? Because, you know, the young people only say connected when, as you said, there's no Wi-Fi. But what does this word mean for a new generation that uses technology in a way to interact? Are they really connected? Do they know what the purpose of this technology is? Or what do you think they think is the purpose of this technology? How do you think empathy works, even for business, for clients and people who sell in the new technology era? I would like to talk about these values and these kind of like primary human relation, vision, empathy, purpose. I would like in 1 minute just for you to tell us a little bit about that, and I would like to start, of course.
Johan, I just want to say that, you know, listening to my fellow panelists, I can say that the important questions about life never change, and they will not change in 50 years from now. You know, the values that were true 40 years back of being honest, of being showing up when you say you show up, of being nice to people, you know, working hard, I think they'll be true in my view. I'm not a futurist or an astrologer, but I think they'll be true 40 years from now too. So in my view, the important questions never change. But technology, new technology is helping us pay attention and respond in different ways. And you know, again, I have a suggestion. You asked me, there's a video on the web which says that in 20 years, what you do in social life will impact your physical life, real life. So, you know, what you do in your social life matters more. So not having enough money in the Swiss bank account is good enough, but how much virtual currency you have, how many friends you have, I think that's what we are moving to, especially for the kind of generation. And I want to give you an analogy. We are at an Art of Living congregation, and in India, and I can only talk to you about India, we pay too much attention to physical health, you know, which is important. You got to be fit. I think we pay too little attention to mental health. In India, I can't talk, I mean, probably true for the US, UK, everywhere, but in India, I think similarly, we are putting too much emphasis on technology. Technology is tools. Technology is not life skills. I think there is a huge life skills will come from real interaction, like the one we are having just now, the one that we are having now. And I, again, give you a story, and this is a real story. There is a family of 4. The gentleman lives in Dr. French. She told me it's actually like 5-6 years. Physical connection. And they're a happy family. They love. They talk to each other together through Skype while they're eating dinner. And the husband or the father of the 2 girls, grown-up girls, was diagnosed with cancer. And the gist was that there was no physical contact. There was no intimacy in even today. So this is a real story. So we cannot, I go to conferences and people come up and say, oh, I'm your LinkedIn connection. And I want to know their name, who they are, I want to talk to them. The kind of people, I hope, art of living and discussions like create people who want, today people are paying for experiences. People want to go to a wine festival, they want to go to a holy cow festival, they want to go to, people are paying for experiences. So if we really want experiences that contribute to our well-being, it has to be physical. And I'm all for technology. Technology is really contributing and, in some way uplifting the way we live. It is solving problems of the world. Uber is not a car app. It has in some way contributed to the safety and independence of people. Women, except that bad incident that happened. But mostly, it is much more safe than it was earlier. So, I hope that as we go along, we find answers to how do we keep the empathy going in technology? How do we keep the purpose going in technology? And most importantly, again, I'll bring a word. I've been married for 15 years, so I've become philosophical. Plus, I have 350 employees, 120 journalists. So between that, it makes me really philosophical. So it's compassion. I think on the web, if in real life you were upset with someone and you met him or her, when you meet him or her, possibly you tend to become softer, you tend to become, you tend to forgive, you tend to be easy. But in real life, people kill each other on Twitter. Twitter is not Twitter. I call it a tool for gang war. The kind of trolling that happens on Twitter. I mean, I got active on Twitter only like 6 weeks back. But, I can't handle Twitter. People who have no intelligence, everybody's an expert on Twitter. Everybody is intelligent on Facebook. They have no real intellect, some of them. But they give you so much gyan, the knowledge. So really, I think the way we have to look at the future of workplace, future of entrepreneurship, is to, in some way, look at the positive impact of technology, which we all have talked about, but also look at ways at minimizing the negative impact.
I'll weigh in, but I'll be a little short. If you want to reach young people, so you asked, how are they seeing the world? Because they don't see the differences. They are Dr. Jekyll's Mr. Hydes. Yes. So they see it as the same world, but in the same way that we were taught to have inside voices when we're in libraries, and when you go to grandma's house, you wear clean clothes. Our children see a different behavior online than they do offline. So it's just a library or a park, and so it's another place. They use language they would never use in real life. Sweetest, kindest, nicest little girl will swear like a Navy, officer or something on the internet. Language I couldn't even spell, but they use it, and they don't even think of it as wrong. If you want their attention and you want them to care about causes, you want them to care about purpose, you want them to live in the moment, because this technology is never about the moment. It's always about the next. It's impulsive, it's quick, it's moving as fast as you can go. It's designed that way. So we don't stop and think for a minute. We don't think at all. So if you want their attention, you have to do it in a 30-minute YouTube video, teaching them how to think. So in the same way we go there to figure out how to cook and how to fix something and how to do everything, I'll share a story about Google in a minute. A good start, funny story. But if we need to teach them in 30 minutes, 30 seconds, the need for compassion in an issue. So when I talk to children on cyberbullying and they look at the suicides and they look at the self-harm and they look at how much it hurts, they are exasperated. They want to change it. They want to do it. Yet, they are caught up in the moment. So everyone else is making fun of this person. If they don't, maybe they're the next target. So you have to capture them in 30-second YouTube videos to get them into it. And then that's where the art of breathing, that's where in the moment, happiness. If we can use technology to do that in a 30-second video on YouTube, these kids will stop and think. Now, the one funny thing about Google, doing this a long time, you know a lot of inside stories. So I said I wanted to use Google Classroom to create all of these programs around the world. I love Google Classroom. All of the teachers who volunteer for me love Google Classroom. I want to use Google Classroom with Art of Living. So I called Sarah Holland, who's in charge, and she said, oh, no, you can't use Google Classroom. It's only for certain classrooms in certain places, and no, you can't use it. So I said, all right. She said, use Google Apps. I said, okay, I'll use Google Apps. But I don't know how to use Google Apps very well. I said, do you have a training for that? She said, no. But some people put some really good training on YouTube videos. Sorry. But so we need to recognize there is compassion and everything else, but we have to tap it in a different way when we're using technology. And we need to stop using technology long enough to tap it in real life. And so that's what we do.
Great, thank you. I just want to follow on from Dr. Aftab in terms of, I've got 3 kids, and technology is here. We can't stop them using, whether it's Snapchat, which I still haven't worked out yet. I have no idea how to use that, or Facebook or Twitter or whatever. So I think what we've got to do is model, a variety of behaviors, because technology has its place, and therefore we must embrace it. And I think it's about having the balance. So I'll just share with you some of my own experiences about my family and kind of how we have to lead the way. So we have to, and I totally agree again with Anurag about mental health. I think we do focus heavily on our physical health. Very, very important, because if we don't have physical health, then, we have a heart attack at 50. That's no good either. So we've got to have it all. So one of the things that Anita and I, my wife, she's in the audience, we have started doing, we've got a very successful business, but we're doing a lot of other things. We're running a foundation, the Hemorrhage Golf Foundation, which is named after my father. We have now started writing our books. We are running seminars, all we do for charity. We want to make a difference on relationships, on health. And what I love, and the reason I'm telling you this is that sometimes in business, especially for many of us who are very high achievers, and I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs, they're very much focused on one area of their life. And one thing I learned 20 years ago is this phrase, having it all. And more I'm learning this is not about things, it's about state of mind. It's about how you feel. And you may have the nice car, the nice house, the wife, whatever. But I know people that have got all those things and still don't feel that it's enough. Yeah? And they're still chasing something. So, and we have to lead the way here with our children. So we have to go first. If they hear us complaining, moaning, bitching about things, then that's what they're going to adopt. Yeah? And therefore, we've got to be role models, because they'll do as we do, not as we say. Though we keep telling them and keep telling them, they're going to model our behaviors. So yes, of course I use Facebook, and sometimes my wife tells me off for overusing it, and I get that. However, I do a lot of the other things. Yeah? So I try to balance it out as much as possible. And I think that's really, really important. And finally, coming back to business, one of the things I forgot to say earlier is that if we want to look after our customers, and this goes for families too, we've got to look after our people. We've got to care for our people, our teams. Too often I've seen this, I've gone to trainings where we're talking about the customers all the time. But who looks after our customers? It's our people, it's our teams. And therefore we've got to look after them. And when we do that, we get great customer service. So anyway, that's kind of a bit of everything there. Thank you.
Johan, can I just add a little bit? As Guruji said earlier today, that leadership needs challenges, and certainly with this technology, and there are new challenges that are coming out, and I think these leaders will find solutions to them, as they have done over the years many a time. What I want to just share with you is when it comes to business, that important meeting or that board meeting of serious agenda can never happen electronically, can it? I mean, I think majority of you who are in business will realize that you have to have that face-to-face meeting, that handshake, that body language that you want to see to make a proper understanding, sometimes half of the understanding of the other person's attitude or position in negotiating is only judged by the body language that you see in that individual. That is not going to go away. So yes, a subsequent meeting might happen on Skype or any of the other devices, but really, when it comes to the human touch, that is not going to go away. We're going to get more efficient. We might find out much more about the other individual through Google and so on before we meet them, so we were going to be even more equipped. So it's helping us, and that's the positive side of it.
Okay, thank you very much to everyone. I think in the other rooms, everybody left already.
There may be no
I just want to say that you all look like you want to stay a little longer, but we don't want to abuse your time and your hunger, because I think, food is waiting for everyone. So I just want to ask if we can, would you like to stay and take some questions? You have people here who want to stay and take questions. So whoever has a question, please.
I have a question for Dr. Smith. I think technology is useful, is enabling people, productivity, etc. What's scary about technology is the 3D printing part, which is going to absolutely replace manufacturing. I saw the video of YouTube of Local Motors self-driven 3D printed car. Also the fact that the algorithms which are being built, which are going to replace the human layer of managerial employees. On the one side, we have unemployment as issues which are coming out, and one side we have technology which is enabling some of these things. How do you, in organizations like Google, see these issues, and how do you confront some of the human side of issues that are coming up because of the usage of technology?
I'm going to answer that in two ways. One of the really important things that we do when we start to bring out these new technologies is actually create prototypes very early. And I don't even mean a technological prototype, so much as something that looks or feels like whatever that end result is supposed to be. And part of the purpose of doing that is actually to get to some of these scenarios as quickly as we can and start to kind of really understand what the benefits are going to be and what those challenges are going to be. Because it's very easy for us to, especially with new technologies, to look at that future state and say, oh my gosh, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. But the reality is we don't have a great grasp of that, right? So one of the things we do is actually create things to see how they fail or how they succeed to actually start addressing some of those points.
One question regarding the cybercrime, that what you are going to start in
India.
India.
Just before you ask the question, I have to say this is going to be the last question because we're going to have to leave.
Thanks for this is the last question. In India, normally it happens when kids open the Facebook account. Initially, that age was 16, and now it is 14. So what smart kids do? They go reverse. 2016 minus 16 year age, and they show their age is birth year is 2000 or 2000 or 1990, like something like that. So it happens most of the crimes or the most of the social awareness in Facebook. So is there any security chances that real age should get real age that kid or that child, and then he can able to open his account, because it's a big problem.
It is a big problem, and I'll tell you, it's a big problem in every country. In the United States, we have a law. I won't be boring and tell you a lot about it, but Congress decided that young people needed to be at least 13 years old, otherwise you needed their parental permission. But I was on a federal task force at Harvard where 29 of us were brought in saying, how do you prove it's the parent? How do you prove it's the right parent if the parents are divorced? How do you make sure it's not the kid saying, hi, I'm signing my mother? So I've come to believe that the laws that determine how old kids need to be on the internet are worthless. We as parents need to decide on a child-by-child basis what our kids should do. I don't want Facebook telling me that kids can do this at a certain age. I don't want Twitter raising my children. And as much as I love Google for being behind Share You Care, I don't want them telling me what I can do. So what we as parents need to do is decide what our children can and cannot do using digital technology, get some help turning it off by using digital technology that will stop them from using it late at night or stop them from accessing Facebook. So maybe they'll get it through their friends, but the harder you make it, the better it is. Then we teach them to use this filter, the one between their ears, in judgment in the same way we teach them in life. And what I usually get people to stand up to do, but you got them to stand up first, I make them stand up and I say, I am the parent. Kids understand more about technology here in India, everywhere in the world. But we are the parents. So maybe I can't make this do everything I want it to do, and maybe I use it for making a phone call. But I understand risks, I understand values, and as long as the children live under my roof, does this sound familiar? As long as you live under my roof, you follow my rules. So you set a rule, you understand what your choices are. You set a rule, you enforce the rule, and you reevaluate the rule as the kids learn and get better and do the rest. So you decide how old they should be, you decide if they're carrying around a mobile, you decide what their tablet can do, because you're the one paying the bills and you're the one who's parenting the child.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aftab, and all the members of this very inspirational panel. I didn't think that talking about technology, we could get such inspiration from all of you. I feel very lucky to have been part of the, I think, best panel, or at least the longest one in this room. Give them all a big hand, please. Thank you very much.
And it's time to honor our guests, our speakers. So I request our moderator.